I'm not a technologist, I'm not a philosopher, I'm a political scientist.
But you're a pretty smart guy, because you're a fellow of all scholars.
Well, that's the assumption.
It's the wrong university, but never mind.
We'll check it out, we'll see. But the question is, that I've asked myself is how AI, especially in the forms it's going to take, which we just discussed in the previous panel, is going to affect politics. Is democracy possible?
Yeah.
And so in preparation for this panel, I checked all the studies we have now that try to assess the effect of the internet, and especially social media, on both beliefs and behavior. And there is now, I would say, a substantial body of evidence suggesting that the effect has been, on average, negative. That is, populism, far-right ideas, xenophobia, polarization, toxic attitudes.
So we're not being enhanced?
No. So there is an inverse relationship between our ability to communicate in real time, to have public conversations, and negative effects in politics, especially the undermining of trust. And trust is fundamental for democracy. You cannot have democracy if you believe, for example, that the result of elections is not fair, if elections have been rigged.
Yeah.
And so the question is, when we move to the next step in which you have an AI agent, whom you treat as your assistant, as your mentor, first of all, your beliefs are going to be mediated by that agent, and therefore the question is who controls that agent? You could say the potential for hijacking, either by an authoritarian state or by a bad agent, increases, goes up, and therefore hijacking politics for these kinds of purposes is likely to become more important. But also, you can think ahead in a sort of science fiction way and say that if the machine gains control over human agency, then AI not only has more intelligence than us, but can control us in more direct ways via politics. And so it's difficult not to see a dystopian future if you think in a sort of analytical way. Now, in practice, very often, things do not operate in a linear way. And so to go back to your previous questions about the should and the will, the question is whether, say, competition or our terrible instincts, greed, may create non-linear processes in which we cancel some of the, the worst effects.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that. It's impossible to provide an answer, but certainly the experience of the past suggests that very often, I always ask myself, who would have imagined when the internet was invented that it was going to cause a rise in rents in most European cities? The relationship between the two is very difficult to imagine. So we have a lot of these kinds of effects that are very difficult.
And you think it is a causal relationship rather than correlation?
Because it allows you to travel more, it allows you to gather information, and therefore it makes attractive places much more expensive.
Okay, yeah, no, I see that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mentioned the Flynn effect in the last session.
Right.
I mean, do you buy into that theory as well or not?
In what sense?
Well, in the sense that AI is actually making our intelligence less than it was.
Well, certainly. I mean, the question is, you can have a collective, you could think of a collective good that is compatible with individual stupidity.